All right. Episode, which one are we in? 119? I think so.
Close enough.
119. Episode 119. Guys, forget about the real estate market right now. Do you know where the real estate game is headed? You're going to find out when you listen to the show right now.
The show is coming on now.
Welcome to the only real estate podcast worth listening to, with your hosts Nick Good, Matt Kelderman, and Brian Force. Combined, they have 26 years of experience and have sold over 1,500 homes. Join them each week as they bring you everything you need to know about real estate. And now, here are your hosts, Nick, Matt, and Brian.
Okay, grab one for the other office.
All right. Episode 119. Guys, today we are going to be talking about, forget about the real estate market right now. Do you know where the real estate game is headed?
The game.
Right? This will be a good show today. Like always.
Will it, Nick?
No, like always. Well, I'm on there.
Right.
I'm
I
on
know the
here. You're
past
on your roll.
118
I am on this
has
show.
been pretty mediocre, but
Here's
this
the thing.
one,
You shared, by the way, you shared today, 3 years ago,
I know.
our first from B Live.
I don't know why I bring myself hate to this show, but sometimes I just
You know
do.
what?
And I want
And
to shit
so
on everybody.
I'm already going to tell you
Maybe
that
the show won't be good.
it's going to be better than that one. Guaranteed. And if not, go back and go to Kelderman's page.
It's right
go to
under
my
this
page.
post. If you're
Yes.
watching this, go to my page. It's right under this one.
We were setting a low bar.
You know what?
back
Just let's do a review comparison. That one to this one, and just let us know whether that was better or this one.
We are 100% less zoomed in on our faces on this one.
That is
than
for
we were on
sure.
that
That is
one.
for sure.
Yeah.
By the way,
I got
guys.
more hair.
Yes. By the way,
Brian had more in the front that was going just off to the sides.
awesome. All right. By the way, if this is your first time listening, thank you for listening, tuning in, wherever you're consuming this content right now. Go over to iTunes, leave us a 5-star review, please. We do get these shows up on the iTunes, Spotify podcast channel. Sometimes same day, sometimes the next day. So go listen there, and go
Is that
to our Facebook.
Watermelon? You objectively chose watermelon?
Yeah,
It's
watermelon.
fucking disgusting.
There's 40 White Claws in that refrigerator, and you grab one of the
We
three
have a
most terrible.
whole fridge full of mangoes, and I think you had to dig for that. You just straight up chose
No, I had
watermelon.
dude. I storefront those.
Don't talk to me for the rest of the day.
Shelby doesn't pay attention to my Instagram
No, she
stories.
doesn't.
About to be not very excited.
Watermelon
about it right
White
now.
Claws,
Yeah,
supposedly
they're
not
gross.
great. So, hey, if you're not in our Facebook group, go to the only real estate group worth being a part of, as well as support our sponsors. We have our good friend Justin Nelson, who runs Sphere Rocket VA, sphererocketva.com. If you're needing some virtual assistant help, you're needing some people help, maybe you're needing some leverage help, go talk with Justin Nelson, Sphere Rocket VA, and our one of our favorite friends, Michael DeBacker, Mortgage Mike.
He's back at it.
He's more like family.
He's the backer at doing his job now.
Oh, that's a good one.
Oh.
Yeah, he got over the COVID.
He did.
He
did.
got over
This is
successfully.
good.
So
COVID was like
congratulations.
the third disease in 3 weeks he had.
He had like
Jesus.
he had hand, foot, and mouth.
Can
Something
we
else.
talk
He's
about
like the boy in the plastic bubble.
Why does hand, foot, and mouth sound like the most disgusting thing somebody? Every time
It's
I hear somebody
bad,
say it,
bro.
I'm just like, I just picture a horse stepping in like some horse stuff, and then like you licking its hoof, and then
No.
you're just like,
I'll be
oh.
honest. When
I'm
he
gonna
told
tell
me
you-
he had it, I didn't think it
Gross.
was real. I thought it was like some 80s.
I knew it was real
because
because I have a kid.
Hand,
No,
foot,
it's-
and mouth
it's
disease
bad.
sound like a grunge band.
I'm going to tell you right now, I would rather have a lot of other things other than hand, foot, and mouth. When I got it, I mean, I still keep the photos just as a memory. So I'm like, all right, just make sure to always
I
watch.
just
I don't even know
realized
how you
what my
get it.
problem with it is. It's the arrangement of the body parts.
Do you think
If it was mouth, hand, and foot disease, it wouldn't sound so weird. But it's the fact that it goes hand, foot, and mouth,
It's
and then you go
coming
foot to mouth. It just makes me think that's how you contract it.
Oh.
Now I'm just grossed out.
Yeah, some people, like Jesse just said, some people are into that.
This
Do you-
isn't that kind of show.
Do you
It's
think
not.
that'd be
It's not.
better than toe, finger, nose disease?
I don't think that exists, but yeah, it would be better than that. I guess.
So Mortgage Mike. So go to Mortgage Mike of Texas. If you're needing an amazing loan officer here in Texas, he will definitely be the one to talk to. We hooked him up with a gentleman, good producer out in Midland, and is getting him set up. And he's saving, by the way, real testimonial right now. He is saving 2 deals for the Good Home Team at the moment
Word.
that Rocket Mortgage decided to mess up on. So if you think going with a company that is
Breaking
the
news.
Called
number-
Rocket Mortgage.
Yeah,
is a
Rocket
good
Mortgage.
idea.
Rocket Mortgage
that
messed up a
is a
deal.
really large corporate size, well, they dropped the ball. big time. And Michael was there to help save the day. Our clients are happy and getting it back on track. So mortgagemikeoftexas.com. So today's show, it really has come about after I had lunch with a good friend of mine, friend of Brian and I's at
You
least.
still say you have other friends?
Yeah. Would you rather have $1 million
It's like that
or
Friends
1,000,000
episode.
good friends?
You know,
Kelderman?
and Andy, I love the post and I love the idea behind it. But no, I don't. I respond. I want to talk to 5 people total ever.
That sounds crazy.
Yeah.
If I had 1 million good friends,
They would each give you $1.
I would assume they'd give me 10.
Ooh.
I know, but
Ooh.
I don't know.
And then I'll take that 10 million and buy better friends.
Because Brian was never your friend in the first place.
Yeah,
He just wanted your
exactly.
$10.
It was a heist.
Yes. That's Brian's billionaire idea, bringing it back,
Oh
and
my
dusting it off. Right?
God, those were
So-
dangerous.
At lunch, we were just catching up, and we were talking about last year's pandemic and how this person runs a really large company, and he was saying at the time that just like all of us, we were kind of freaking out on our businesses, and he held a war room strategy every single week of what if scenarios. If this were to happen, then how would the reaction go? What
Sure.
would be the response? What would
Sure.
the government, if the government did this, how where do we think it would go within the why is that not turning off? There we go. Within how it would affect the economy.
Right.
And so we were talking about, well, what does that look like in the real estate world? Or we held that same meeting. We had that same meeting last year with with our investment group, saying that where do we think that the puck is going towards with this pandemic? And in our investment group and our strategies, we were talking about, all right, was it houses? Was it XYZ? It was cold storage that we were really trying to nail down
Yeah.
because of the way the logistics and distribution channels were to work.
Okay.
So as real estate agents, or in our businesses, are we trying to skate where the puck is going? Or
Sure.
are we being too reactive
Okay.
within that?
Okay. And I want to talk about this from a bunch of different angles. Like in our real estate business, we've talked about this. I mean, I feel like Kelderman and Jesse over here and I, and every time we talk about this endlessly. There's a lot of things we can explore. I would say if you're talking about skating to where the puck is, right? Like your brand and content creation and all of the type of shit that I want to dive way deeper into is 100% where the puck is going. And it's something that you cannot sit idly by anymore and just hope that you learn how to do it, or just hope that you get out over your fear of being in front of the camera. Like it's taken to another level now. Not only do you need to be a better ambassador of your own brand, you need to be a lot more dialed in from a technical aspect of it. I do want to talk about that as well. When we talk about we said forget the real estate industry, let's talk about the real estate game. I also want to talk a little bit just about what are the opportunities we're seeing outside of residential real estate sales right now, right? Like we don't do maybe enough of that on this show. That is, what do we do with the commission checks to go and invest in more real estate and continue to grow our portfolios from that aspect of it as well. So I want to talk about it from a bunch of different angles, but like those are two that come to like the top of my head.
Yeah. What do you think, Kelderman, from a standpoint of forget the real estate market right now? We want to look at where we think the game is headed, because times are changing, right? And what worked for agents that may be teaching classes at brokerages today that they were selling 5 or 6 years ago, it's not the same. We're not playing the same game today.
No, I mean, look, some of the book, if you go to any real estate group and anybody asks you what's the best real estate book out there, what gets thrown out every single time?
The MREA book.
Okay, do we really and look, I work for this company. Do we really still think that like top to bottom that book is like
Yeah, think about
a
that. That is a weird
a
default
complete
answer.
road? Is that a roadmap to like how you would start a real estate business today? Like, I think there are aspects of it. I would definitely hire a transaction coordinator before I hired a buyer's agent, right? But that doesn't talk anything about the social media and the digital aspect of where real estate is
Let
going,
me
right?
bring a name up to you, and let's talk about how real estate drastically has changed from a digital standpoint in the last few years. How is your Playster site doing right now?
I don't even know. Honestly, I never set my Playster site
But just
up.
remember how
Yes.
big that was when
Yeah.
it came into the marketplace. Like
Yeah.
this was uniformity of digital platforms through Playster was like the next
we were still trying to have this conversation too, where you were going to like defeat Zillow at their own game. Like, can we just back off of that too? Like, you're not going to get more traffic to your website than Zillow gets. Like, people are not. Oh, I got an alarm.
I heard an
like,
interesting stat the other day. No, go ahead.
No, go ahead. You're good. Good.
The amount of homes that you need to see to show a buyer to get them under contract has dropped from like 8.5 to like 2.5 over the last 5 years, something like that. And that is directly a result of platforms like Zillow. Like, you and I are not like Zillow like advocates, but we're always, all three of us are very aware of what they do for the positive in our business as well. We're objective around that. That's one of them right there.
Yeah, I don't think. Look, from the Zillow standpoint, we've realized that the game was that game was lost a long time ago. And so
I still talk to agents all the time who talk about that kind of stuff, though. Like, I mean,
they're trying to defeat them?
Not defeat Zillow, just still talking about their website. And it's like, here's the thing: is
with the enemy.
Well, and it's fine. Have your website from a presence standpoint. Like, I'm not saying you don't need a presence at mattkelderman.com. I'm not saying that. I'm also saying stop thinking that your website's going to save your business too. Like, we talk to agents all the time who are talking about like, oh, I just spent $3,000 on digital leads, or I just spent this money on website or whatever. And I'm like, dude, what a catastrophic waste of money.
I mean, the one question that was just asked in the only real estate group worth being a part of was, what was it, Matt?
The Bold Leads one?
Yes.
Yeah. Like John from Bold Leads. By the way, bro, I'm not texting you back if you're watching.
Okay, well, so let me tell me the difference between those two, because I agree with part of that. You're saying don't go out of your way or spend an exorbitant amount of money, which I don't think you spend an exorbitant, but to like build out your own website and things like that. I see those as different things than buying leads and shit like that.
They are two totally separate things, because like I said, I think if you have a Brian Force who is building out your websites in the background and you're going to other websites.
Hope he's a little bit better than me.
Well, and honestly, I don't. I'm telling you right now, I'm building that website and somebody told me $4,500 and I went to Brian and I was like, you can do this, right? And he's like.
He spells it with RSE.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But here's the reality. Yes, I think in our world, look, this is what's good for the goose is not for the gander. We actually do a lot of stuff with different websites. I have about 12 domain names that I own. We're doing different shit than you, the individual agent, probably is. If you as an individual agent think somehow having like pattysmith.com right. and a Playster site that you designed with your 12 templated backgrounds is all of a sudden going to explode your business, that line of thinking is incorrect, right? Like, so the game, look, the game the game is confusing.
So it is confusing, but within that, 7 to 10 years ago, having your name to go to a website other than, because even back then, we were talking about 10 years ago would put us in 2011. Zillow wasn't as large of a name. It was just starting to get some traction going.
Sure.
Realtor.com was somewhat of an okay player from what I remember. Sure. The place to go was you needed a good website from an IDX search capability. And that used to not be included. When I got in the business in 05 and licensed in 06 and really went full-time in 07, like when you got a website, it did not include just the IDX portion, the way that it kind of is packaged together today. And so you definitely needed that site 10 years ago.
Isn't that like anything though, right? Like it doesn't really become free until after it's no longer cutting edge technology, right? Like you used to watch a commercial and it'd be like, oh, it has power windows in it. Now you try to sell me a car that doesn't have power windows, I'm going to burn that thing to the ground.
Yes.
Right. Like by the time IDX technology became free with your $12 a month Playster site, like it was like there were already people sprinting down the street on that one, and you were like, I got my Playster site, and people were just running away from you.
Okay, so I say that, or we say all that to say, if we're talking about where the game is headed, this message might be too little, too late, right? But and we are. And I hate saying this word as much as I say it. We are in an industry now that is 100% reliant on branding.
Yes.
And that can take many forms, because the people that shy away from hearing this word that I am saying when we talk about building your brand, right? If you're the type of person who is entirely sphere-based, I can name people in our organization that are just murdered with their sphere, right? If you're hyper-local, if you have built up a book of business, as you call it, right? Those people that are like, I've been in the business for 30 years, my book of business, whatever. You are building a brand. You just didn't define it that way before, but you did build a brand before it was sexy to say building a brand. all we're talking about right now is everything that has already worked in real estate for a very long time is now more important to do in a more succinct and digitized way than ever before. And I say that to say there's a funny thing that we always come back to, that no matter what level you're at in building your business, whenever you meet somebody who's at a little bit higher level, the first thing you ask them is like, what are you doing for leads right now? Like, what are you doing to build business? Where are you getting your business from, right? And the reason we're asking that is no matter how big your business gets, at least 50, probably more than 60% of your business will always come from your sphere, past client referrals, shit like that. And what we're actually asking when we ask, like, where's your business coming from? Is like, what is the other automated shit that you're doing that doesn't involve me building more business for myself or whatever? And what we're trying to say now is when we talk about building your brand, that is the new terminology to talk about building business from your database by one, organically expanding your database through content creation and becoming the fucking master of your own universe from a branding standpoint. Yeah. And that comes with a lot of different tools, technologies, all that type of stuff. But that is where the game is headed. If you are not becoming your own celebrity of your own world, that's where you're going to fall short in the real estate game going forward.
No, 100%. And here's the thing. So having lunch with this, this friend of ours, who, by the way, in the real estate space is massive, right? I mean, what this person says holds a lot of clout.
Yeah. We're having lunch with Austin again.
Yes. yeah. I'm like, Austin, will you please go to lunch with me? Yeah. Will you return my calls?
Can I talk about you on the podcast?
Yeah. But what we talked about there was where as real estate agents in the next 5 years, the traditional real estate agent will be somewhat obsolete. It's going to be,
yeah. I mean,
it's going to be
understatement, I think.
Yes, it's going to be the platform models being then from that. We talked about that. I think that's episode 110 or whatever. I think we talked about that.
Let's call it 110.
Yeah, 8 or 9 episodes ago, where we talked about these platforms that are coming in that are now being supported by brokerages, right? And so that was one thing. The game is changing. If you're an individual agent, you need to look at the platform models and or a mega team that is going into that direction. Yeah. Because one, we talk about content creation and how to become that local celebrity within your sphere, but you don't know where to start because it's overwhelming.
And look, I think there's a lot of teams that don't know how to do this either. Like I always want to be the because I get to sit down, and you guys do this too, but I sit down with agents all the time, and you're always having the conversation around splits and things like just the value of the team. Let's take it away from splits because that's too much of a dumbed down part. Everybody wants to know that they're getting the value for the money they're paying, regardless of what that percentage is, right? And there are still a lot of teams charging large percentages for stuff that just they've been doing for years, right? They're not innovating. Yep. Part of what we're talking about is this is not a PSA for go join a team. This is a PSA for join the right team if that's what you're going to do. Sure. Like definitely do that. But also make sure you kind of have an understanding of where you want your business to go. If you're coming onto any kind of team situation as an agent who has that book of business as Brian's talking about, and you're looking to translate your brand to a 2021 type of brand, like understand that there's leverage in that for you as well, right? Like there's a lot of cool stuff that you can do with that to bring a lot of notoriety, a lot of opportunity to the team also. Like this isn't like if you're just an agent, just go join a team regardless of what your business looks like. I will also say that I don't think from an individual agent perspective, the business is changing enough to where the profitability of things is going to get really hard. And at the end of the day, if all you're doing is if you're willing to work until you're 75 for yourself and not have any growth, then I get it. We know tons of agents like that who I think are really amazing people. And that's not my particular retirement plan, right? Because
honestly, I don't think that was their retirement plan.
I don't think it was their retirement plan either. But if you're making $300,000 as an individual agent and it's all done off your sphere, it's really hard to understand how this is moving away from you. You don't see the little pieces of your business are being chipped away.
Well, you don't feel like you're being cooked alive.
No,
right?
You don't.
So you don't feel as that temperature is rising, you're not feeling that 1 to 2 to 3 degree temperature differential there until it's too late. By the time you look up, you're dead in the water.
Was it cooking a frog? Like, what's the best way to cook a frog in a pot? Like something about boiling it slow. I don't know if it's. I don't know.
I don't say it's the best way. They say a
frog. It's one of the ways.
I think. I think a frog will cook itself alive in like you put it in a cold pan supposedly, and you just turn the heat up and it'll slowly.
Can we get some of our more southern friends to tell us what this cricket hopping out of a water grasshopper frog situation saying?
It is a frog.
It is a frog.
It is a frog.
Definitely a frog.
Yeah, you have a computer.
Eat an elephant one bite at a time. Cook a frog slowly all the way to death.
You have that computer right there.
Search here.
but from that, it is look, this is not saying you should just go, like you said, you'll jump on the team, but start opening your mind and your gates to having that platform conversation. Whether you're a $20 or $30 million producer or team, there needs to be, that is where the game is moving towards. And by the time that you realize it, if you're playing stubborn, by that time, you're giving up leverage.
I think the biggest message that we can convey in this conversation is if you are even a big producer, even a team leader, right? And you are of the cut of people that think that our industry is under siege by platforms like Zillow, Redfin, Realtor.com, all that type of shit, reality, whatever it is, right? And you're not equally as concerned about real estate sales platforms blowing you absolutely out of the water, your mind is in the wrong place right now.
I don't think
Zillow is not the threat.
So I don't think they're looking at it right. So there's a book that
they're not looking at it right. That's what I'm saying.
They don't know about.
There's a book that I'm reading right now. If how-tos were enough, we would all be skinny, rich, and happy. Right? And it talks about in here that we all, every single one of us, look through different color lenses. Right. And if I were to tell you, Matt, right now that Brian is wearing a white polo shirt and your glasses that you have on right now were tinted green, you'd be like, and that's the only glasses you've ever had on your entire life. You're like, no, Nick, that's a green shirt. That's a green polo right there. And, Jesse over here has got red tinted glasses. He's like, dude, are you an idiot? That's red. Yeah. Until we all open up and take our glasses off to look at a situation or reanalyze, and we all take our glasses off and like, oh, it is actually white, or maybe it is red.
Was it us that talked about the beach ball mentality of just like the work in general, right? Like, I was reading a book, or Adam said it, or we talked about it here or something, and we're talking about like, beach ball's got the white stripe on it, the blue stripe, the red stripe, the green stripe. Well, if you spend your whole day working inside the red stripe, everything that happens at work is red. Yeah. Right? To you. Now, it doesn't mean the blue stripe guy's right or wrong or indifferent or whatever, but the blue stripe guy, his whole work experience is blue. Yep. Right? Like, we all have that same thing inside real estate, right? Like, we all have different experiences. We all work in different markets, right? Like, very candidly, what's good in Dallas may not be good in a smaller market. Some of this digital stuff we're talking about, I have a buddy who works in California, and I posted a graphic of how much I paid out in agent referrals last year, right? He messaged me on the side and he's like, is that really like what you made? And or what you paid out? And I was like, yeah. He's like, dude, I couldn't do that in my market. Like, he comes from another country, right? Like, and he was like, if I was to post that, it would be seen as, that would be incredibly offensive for me to post it. Like, really? You know what I mean? So here's the thing is, I think there's all kinds of different stuff that we talk about when we're dealing with our markets and what's going to work. And we all see it in this little kind of like, whatever it is, this our red part or our blue part or whatever. The reality is, it may not reach your market. I had somebody text the other day that Open Door just got to their market, right? That seemed like old news to me. Yeah. But they're about to go through the Open Door experience, right? So they're going to start viewing some of these things, some of the objections that we've done for years. Yeah. It's coming, right? Whether you live in a major metropolitan area and you just heard of Snoop Dogg, or you live in the middle of nowhere and he'll get there in a year and a half, it's coming, right? Like, so
Chronic is here.
Yeah, you may not know about. That was always the funniest thing, like being like from Iowa, like when the Chronic came out. I'm sure we got that CD like way after the rest of the world.
2 years after.
Yeah, everybody was like, "This is awesome." Everybody was like, "This came out in 1993." So, but I think it's the same thing with real estate, right? Like it's these things are happening in the industry. The consumer is getting more savvy. They are questioning what your value is for that percentage that you write on that agreement, and you had better have an answer.
So what's the answer?
Actually, but let me paint a different picture, because if this comes out, we don't know. Well, this is going to
serve returned.
This actually.
Oh, is this going to help me?
This actually helps.
Oh, okay. Well, then go ahead and say it.
So calm down over there. All right. Calm the jets. Right. So
Vanessa's so unimpressed with our fucking conversation.
It's because she's drinking that watermelon.
She's regretting all her decisions in life right now.
Watermelon White Claw is not great. No. But if the Department of Justice actually wins their lawsuit and commissions, the commission issue comes up, which is part of it is that we may have to separate. We may have to separate where where the seller actually doesn't pay for the buyer's agent, right? And buyers have to then now go pay their own agent. First off, what does that happen if you're just a buyer's agent? Are you going to be able to show your value to that buyer of why they should hire you, pay your fee, whatever that may be, instead of going directly to the listing agent and working out whatever deal is going to be had there?
Do you hope or not hope that
shit.
happens?
I don't know, man. That's I don't know.
Okay, here's what I will say.
Tough one.
No,
Ed.
and I'll throw out some thoughts on it because I think I feel all kinds of different ways about it. But my first thought comes to commissions are inherently worked into the sales price of the MLS comps. So right there we have an immediate issue of the sales. Like again, I know
we don't go
not
backwards on pricing.
I know we're not, and that's the whole point.
That
right?
stays already baked in.
So that whatever that percentage is, the buyer's got to get has got to be in addition to that number, at least initially, until everybody's mindset rechanges or everybody's mindset shifts around it. That's the first initial problem I see with in a buyer's situation. I don't want to say buyer's agent. I represent buyers and sellers. I don't consider. I'm a real estate agent. I'm not a buyer's agent or a list. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, though, like if you're a buyer's agent, you now, like you said, you have to justify that commission. I think it gets incredibly hard. I think it's very hard to undercut. I do also think as a listing agent, you put yourself up from a fiduciary standpoint to get your ass suit off because you're going to want to be intermediary.
What
all the
about-
time.
How much better level of service would clients start getting if clients also now are paying agents?
Yeah, but no,
right?
go ahead.
And agents now have to earn their true worth.
That's the thing. Wouldn't you take better care of buyers if you know they weren't represented?
I could
by
make the
another
case
agent?
that they're paying it anyways because
So
it's
let me
they're
ask you
they're
this.
taking
but
out
they're
the
not.
loan.
They're not. Well, they are,
No,
but they're
that's
not
just-
because they're
Okay,
also
so let me
like the
throw-
agent's not
That's
doing.
because we're a borrower society.
The
We
agent-
don't look at it like you're still wrapping
me
it up in
throw-
the
the
sales price. of the
yes,
home.
the client is. Hold on, Brian. The client is, but the agent. The agent is not doing anything to represent that buyer in a better fashion, right? You know, if I knew immediately,
You're saying all buyers, like all agents in a buyer situation, are not giving max effort because they're
well,
not.
am I first off? Are you saying that I'm saying?
No,
I'm
no, I'm not
insinuating that every single buyer's agent.
No,
is not
I'm just saying,
doing-
like in general.
Yeah,
I just
you
think,
guys
I
are
think that,
both on ends of the
no, I think
spectrum.
I just think that's flawed because I think this just comes back to the survey. There are good buyers agents, there are shitty buyers agents. I think better ones are going to be able to justify.
even in
The
this,
same thing as listing agents,
Yes.
right? There are people who take 1% or whatever percent listings.
I guess the caveat to that was the agents that are good buyers agents, wouldn't they also be good listing agents?
yeah.
And if
Certainly.
those buyers weren't represented, wouldn't they represent them the same way that they were?
Oh, dude, I
represented
would I wouldn't hate this because I'm at the end of the spectrum where I'm getting more listings now. This doesn't work out poor for
For the
poor
reason
for
that
me.
But how do
I-
you show more? How do you show better value if you knew that client was actually paying you rather than it coming out of the listing
How
side?
do you?
Here's the thing is I think the number, the commission number drops dramatically first off. So I think the expectation of the service part changes a little bit as well. I would just tell you right now, anybody who expects to get something for 33% of the original value, but wants the same amount is just not going to be a great fit for me anyways.
Yeah.
Right. So like that standpoint's fine. But if you're the listing agent and that same 33% of value somehow ends up on your plate for doing what you were going to do anyways, now it's a net win, right? Like, so, but I also think that gets fucked up because I don't think you can take care of both sides
Right.
properly either from a
Here's the thing.
fiduciary standpoint.
So on the buy side, if this were to happen on the buy side, and buyers had to pay the buyer's agent, their agents,
Yeah.
to represent them on purchase, and let's say that, do you think that where do you think the average commission rate would fall? Would it stay the same or decrease?
Decrease.
So from that, what ends up happening on the number of houses being shown from an agent on Saturdays being gone 12 hours out showing properties, even though right now Brian said that because of how Zillow and everything else has changed, that the average agent only shows 2.5 houses to get them under contract instead of 8. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's dropped significantly.
Right. So, but let's just say hypothetically, you're out showing all day on a Saturday and showing 20 houses because inventory levels have picked back up. Right now, inventory levels have been pretty low over that course of that time. So as inventory levels come back up, we go through a little bit of a market correction, a market softening. Buyers are going to be pickier. So then do we start seeing an a la carte service where you're charging per door and a commission amount? Because now
That's what I love about this conversation. So a couple things when you shushed me before.
no, I didn't stress. I said,
I'm
I said,
kidding.
hold on.
we've already seen through technology. And Jesse, could you verify like part of that for me? Like, I don't know if it's been it's a significant drop. Like, how many fewer houses? Like, I don't even know what you Google there. It's less, right? As technology continues to advance, we'll have to show buyers even fewer and fewer homes as they become more comfortable shopping online, right? So the actual time investment on a buyer agent's part will continue to decrease, right? And I say that to say, when you're making the argument of talking about this lawsuit and agents only being paid on the listing side and what value does the buyer agent bring, I think there is value. It is 100%. To be able to quantify that is a more difficult argument or difficult task, I would say, than to quantify what we do on the listing side. And then if you add on top of that, you get in trouble by talking about commissions.
I never know where this line is.
I already had one truck complaint dismissed against me this week. Undefeated.
Let's not bring up another one.
For one this week.
Right?
I think you're poking a bear there saying undefeated.
I would say if you were going to ask me to negotiate on my fee, if my fee was started at a certain rate and I was supposed to give X amount to the other side, right? If that other side no longer exists, it gives me the flexibility to provide the same amount of value and us to have a conversation about something. It might be more profitable to my business if I'm a listing agent who actually kicks ass, right? And on the buy side, if I don't have to show as many homes, then we might see a situation where we make exorbitantly more on the listing side and less on the buy side. We still make money on the buy side, but then we're just encouraged to go take listings. And then I will tell you right now, that is where the cream does rise to the top.
I agree with that. And I don't know if you based your whole thinking off of this, but at the very beginning, you were talking about like buyers not physically. I don't think in my active selling career, not in my lifetime, but in my active real estate selling career, I'm going to see a market where buyers are comfortable not walking in houses. That is just such a massive mental leap.
So
for people to make, for that to become the norm to where it affects the whole way the buyer transaction unfolds.
Yeah, sure.
Right.
Also, and I was going to add that this is why I brought this up. You guys know that buyer agency only came into practice in the 1990s.
In the 90s. We talked about this on the show.
Yeah, we brought that
so
up.
You're saying like, how do we see a market where like this used to be how real estate was?
Contract also used to only be a page long.
Yeah.
No, I know. I think we have more technology now.
Sure. I just don't think buyers are going to want to see
less,
houses.
There's less technology.
There's less technology.
There's less technology now.
In the 90s, right?
Yeah.
Right. No, I mean, from that, I lost where we're going with this.
Something about buyers and something about real estate.
Yeah. And
spelling this stuff wrong on the Zoom.
Yeah. Where Brian brought up, the 90s. And
no, I was saying
90s.
that we might make more on the listing
I said something about
side,
Snoop Dogg earlier.
less on the buy side. And if we do see this tipping point, 63% of home buyers in 2020 made an offer sight unseen, shattering previous records.
Well, yeah, it's also that survey is going to be skewed because of the pandemic right then and there. But here's the thing.
I know that. That's so many. Actually, that's so. I represent people all day long, and 6 out of 10 of them didn't see, just not go in the freaking.
I need
house.
to ask Elizabeth too, because even last year
that number's bullshit.
Yeah,
You guys hate the truth.
Here's what I will tell you. So I bought. This is where I was going with this, because you talked about you don't think in your real estate lifetime career that you will see where it shifts into more people just virtually seeing it and not going in person. I just bought that Oculus.
Yeah.
Right. The virtual reality. Oculus.
Pumped about that last week. Now you don't want anybody to buy a house without seeing it.
Because I want to play video games on it.
Yeah.
And so shop on it.
So my brother-in-law, like I said, who's this really decent photographer and filmographer person, he was like, dude, you could show houses with this. And I had the same reaction as you do.
Yeah.
Where I can't personally go and buy a house. I'm not going to go buy a house that I haven't set foot in. Even if I'm walking in virtually. And by the way, that Oculus is pretty badass.
Oh, I bet it's awesome.
It's pretty awesome. It feels real, but I still don't think I could walk through a virtual house.
Yeah.
If you could have talked to the younger versions of yourselves about buying clothes online before trying them on.
I don't buy clothes online.
The younger version of yourself.
You
don't know your size.
No,
you don't know where to
I still like to go.
You can send the clothes back. The clothes don't have a neighborhood you have to drive into first. Like there's so many things that analogy does not.
So we're
work
going to be
for.
able to refund houses.
These are
It doesn't.
all things you can
I think
Love it.
and I think it's
virtual
coming.
tours.
I look, and this is not me trying to justify like buyers agents making a bunch of money or something like that. Like I do think all of that's coming. I also think that it is a larger leap than it feels like, and I don't plan on selling for the next 30 years. So if we're taking it back to
yeah, it
buy
might be
clothes online,
irrelevant anyway.
yeah, like I mean,
But if you're selling virtually, you could easily do it.
I could sell forever.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
My question
That's
is-
where- I mean, that's where the game's headed.
I mean,
Yeah.
look, we're not going to the way of Carvana.
We're just all going to be.
What is
sitting
what
in
is
our
that
offices
movie
with
where
Oculus
Stallone comes out of the carbonite, and then he's like dating Sandra Bullock,
Oh my god!
and they have
Demolition Man.
Oculus.
Demolition Man.
Yeah,
Thank you.
dude. See, this has already happened. Stallone and Sandra Bullock have
They
done it, so
figured
I
that
stand
out in
corrected.
88.
When they also
Let's
eat
stand
Taco
corrected.
Bell and pills.
I know. I had Taco Bell like 3 days ago, so it's
Right.
coming.
But it's with that. Are you understanding that this could easily happen, and are you prepared? Are you prepared for that game?
Jesse, can you pull that back up again? I want to respond to that comment. What area are you talking? Tori Maxwell
She's-
says it is going in that direction. My area. What area?
Tori's
is that?
in the Atlanta area.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I will do you one better. You keep talking. I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure California is already mostly sight unseen.
in terms of, but she's talking about a la carte services as well, right? So from that,
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
we're
that comment
starting
came
to see a la carte, services from the agency side.
Yeah.
Right. And we saw that agents becoming somewhat of a commodity from the open door offer pads. They're trying, again, I go back to Carvana. They're trying to Carvana, the home buying experience and home selling experience, which there's always going to be that small portion that will go through
Yes.
it. But there's always going to be like, when I go buy a car, other than they now bring it to me, we just bought a car last week.
Yep.
Right. Heather shopped online. They brought it to us. We test drove it. We negotiated all there, but I'm not going to go buy a car sight unseen. Right. I'm not going to go buy a house sight unseen. I'm going to look online. I'm going to do my research. And I think that's the majority of the population. So if we can solve the majority of the population's issues or problems within the home buying or home selling experience, solve big problems, make big money.
Yeah.
Right. So how do we go to where the game is from a user experience, online user experience, as a small company that has very little resources as compared to.
I think you have to do I think the first part of this is where we always stand. The first part of this is getting in front of more people and telling your story to them. It's more of a one-way conversation that makes them know, like, and trust you. And that starts just honestly with video content. It starts there, right? Like Zillow has a different thing. All of these online portals have a totally different ability. They don't have massive amounts of money, tons of reach already. If you're trying to start creating that in your own world, you have to become the attractive character who people know, like, and trust up front to even start that process.
From 3 people that sell a lot of real estate right now, like we give a lot of advice in this show, and I will give you some right now. Our next meeting right after this podcast is to hopefully hire our second full-time content creator.
Yep.
Yeah. And
That's where our business is headed.
And to give credit, to give you props, Matt, you do that. You make yourself relatable, right? You are a relatable person. Where like even Brian and I have been said that we are not as relatable within this, right? And so if you're conveying your message in your story or whatever that may be, is that to your avatar, to your demographic, to that consumer you're trying to speak to, how do you make sure that you're coming off as relatable? Because that's been, you've said it, Brian has told me that's been an issue that I've had from whatever it is, however image that is being projected is we were not relatable or what's the right word that I'm looking for?
Here's the thing is, my thing has always been just being super genuine,
Yeah.
right? Like, but here's the thing is, I don't think that's the problem with the content you put out, because it's like, I watch those videos and it's genuinely who I know you to be.
Yeah, but
I also know you
Right.
as a way more relaxed dude,
Yes,
right? Like
right.
you don't feel as relaxed in those videos, right? Like,
right. And
but
so-
they're also not meant to be relaxed videos,
Yes.
right? Like I did a live video laying on my son's bed on a bear the other day, right? Like my content is different than your content
right.
too.
So, but you got to find your style.
That is
100%.
So that is the thing,
Yes.
right? Like if we all know Josh Deschong. I wouldn't expect Josh Deschong to put out content of him like, and I don't know him a ton anymore, but I would expect him to put out
Friend of the
content
show.
that's very relevant, that's very intellectual, that is engaging. But I don't expect him to show you the behind the scenes of what goes on in his house,
right.
right? Like that's just not who I know him be. That doesn't mean that dude doesn't do everything in real estate at a 10 times higher level than I've ever thought of doing.
Yeah,
it, right?
absolutely.
So like some of it is just being genuinely yourself. There is also some intentionality to it. The genuine moments don't always happen when it's convenient to go live or whatever, right? All of the content isn't content people give a shit about either, right? It's just consistently being yourself. Some of it's going to fall flat, some of it's not. I will tell you, we're right now in a process. I've done a really good job of getting people to know, like, and trust me in a couple of spaces, but I have no reach beyond like my personal Facebook and those types of things. You know, this show gives me a little bit more reach with real estate agents, but I don't necessarily have a brand with consumers
Right.
that they know about. That's my next move. Is
Yeah.
like, how do I become more of just the person who you just kind of see everywhere? Not in
Yeah.
an obnoxious way, but like hopefully in an engaging and interesting way.
Yeah.
And that's been 4 years in the making, right? You can go back and track my YouTube content to 5315 and 5319 Belmont Avenue, two of the worst houses I've ever sold in my entire life. But I started doing tons of content around there for 2 years. My hair was terrible. The videos were terrible. I'd record them 14, 15 times before I'd post anything.
Yep.
Right. But now 4 years later, I don't always have something to say. There are definitely even topics on the show that I become a freaking like a wallfly on, right? Like, but that's fine too, right? There's going to be shit that isn't your thing, you know?
Yeah.
Just put it all out there, be genuine, and I think that's how people are going to start liking you more.
So, I think that's where again you go. There's two things to hit on is the content creation, the Ryan Serhants, the people are voyeuristic,
Yes.
right? And so they want that. They even though we still do business with our calls and our text messages, right? The running of your business or your content creation to appeal to the voyeuristic nature of just people in general, that's going to have a lot higher ROI than any calls, any text messages, any email campaigns, any door knocking.
I mean, think about it in terms of old versus new, right? Like, what did we used to do that was highly successful, right? Like direct mail. What the fuck is the purpose of that? I'm not even saying that's bad. We still do it. It is getting your face and your brand in front of
Yeah.
people.
And I think
It's content
yeah.
creation.
Yeah.
It's hard copy content creation.
Yeah.
But it's content.
But the
creation.
problem where direct mail fell short of in the real estate space is that it was not even just stagnant. It was that, but in the words of Gary Vee, is you were just throwing the right hook every single time.
That's what stagnant means. Exactly.
Right. And so the right hook is just always advertisement. And so you get something in the mail from Nick Good or Matt Kelderman, and you're like, man, here's another love it or lust it, guaranteed sold program, whatever it is.
That's static.
Versus a newsletter, where the newsletters back in the day there was being taught it was newsletter for life or something like that. There was a company that would actually help you with it. And what it was doing, it was helping you tell your story within the community you were trying to reach, right? They would get to know you, maybe if you had wife, kids, et cetera.
Yeah.
And then you pepper in some market stats in there.
Yeah.
But it was less about market stats and more about getting to know you as the
Playing
person.
the attractive character.
My
Yes.
first newsletter that I ever tried to make was about trees.
What
I just
trees?
wanted to, like, there's some old ass trees in Dallas, and I thought I was somehow going to like make people think that I cared about trees. And I got one newsletter in, and I was like, I'm out of shit to talk about.
at least that was genuine, because I'll tell you right now, I've been traveling to a lot of places with this dude, and every time we go somewhere, he at least one time on our trip points out some sort of leaf.
I do,
Tree.
man. I love it, man.
I don't give a shit about, but he will not stop lecturing me about
I do love some trees.
where it comes from.
So I think
This actually shouldn't even be here. They must have brought it. I'm like, I don't
Imported it
fucking
or
care
something.
at all.
I think you should bring that back.
I should bring it back.
No.
Yeah. I should do a whole video series on like, okay,
Something old,
Actually,
something new.
that's kind of annoyingly a good idea. Like the reality is that tree idea is atrocious from a newsletter standpoint. There are actually some really old ass trees with some interesting stories around DFW. Like you can Google trees in DFW, and there are some. There's one in Highland Park, like that busted ass tree in Highland Park when you're driving down Mockingbird or whatever. Yeah, DFW trees history. Like tree removal is going to come up, right? Like,
do history. There you go.
There you go.
Oh, auto population.
bro, I wasn't the first one to come up with it. There's a wiki page on trees in Dallas. So yeah, there we go.
Yeah, Dallas-based group searching for historic trees.
Yeah, so that's what I'm
across-
saying.
Actually, that's your website.
Headed
Yeah,
by Matt
there's Matt.
Kelderman.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what beer's gonna look
Of course,
like.
that dude looks like that.
What's up,
Good
Bill?
Lord.
But my whole point being is like now it would actually be. Here's the thing: is like this is how you flip stupid ass old ideas on their head.
Yeah.
Now it would be really. That's that damn oak tree right there. Just keep scrolling down, bro. Look at that thing. I know all
That
about
actually is really
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah. So
That's-
they have all these trees around town, right? And like there's all this really cool. Like now, if I went out and did a video series that was just 5 of these stinking trees, who cares, right? That would be way more engaging than I sent them that stupid letter I sent on trees. I want a picnic under that. Bitch.
What makes a tree worthy of recognition?
Oldness?
Bill Searman, chairman, says it's pretty broad.
I like how.
Yeah.
Yeah. See,
Yeah.
there's
So,
Trader's Oak and
there we
Fort
go.
Worth right
So-
there.
I really think it's cool.
But again, you're right. The content creation to now where it's getting into where we have to get rid of the professionalism,
Well, like,
and,
we're just
and move it
talking-
into to just real life
That's
human.
what it is.
Yes.
We're just talking about the delivery mechanism.
Yeah.
We've always been creating content. If you have ever put it like, if you want to say like, I'm from the 60s and I used to do ads in the newspaper,
Pointless exercise.
that's fucking content creation, right? It's content that goes into a medium that goes into people's eyeballs, that goes into their brains and whatever, right? Like postcards, direct mail.
Are
Google
books
Mail,
are
whatever.
books old school content
Every
creation?
that is the legitimate OG content creation, right?
What books?
Yeah.
Yes.
No, what about on caves?
Okay,
yeah.
hieroglyphics
Cave art.
are the
Yeah,
original
yeah,
content
yeah.
creation, I would think.
Makes right.
Maybe miming or grunting is probably even before that. I have no idea.
Will you
right?
make a video on that? Look, I
Regardless,
leave it
I'm
on
saying that to
Kelderman
say-
leave that.
When we talk about where the puck is headed,
Yes.
it is getting out of the exclusive advertisement style hard copy content creation and becoming an attractive character. And the best way to do that is through immediate digital distribution methods like social media and video content. That is
Regardless,
the
is
simplest
mine.
way you can make that
We're
argument.
tickling his ass today.
Yeah, yeah.
He's loving this.
I
last
love
10
this,
minutes.
man. But and here's the thing: it's harder than it sounds because I will tell you when I go back and leave
It's not easy.
when I leave this show, like this I let loose.
Yeah.
But the minute that I go,
This is the rawest form of Nick.
It is.
We get a cuss on
if you
here
can
every once in a while.
understand.
the minute I go and make some videos to send out to our database,
So
I'm like,
sorry, Heather.
all right, for whatever reason, just this. It's almost like it gets.
But here's the thing is, I make nothing like that. And I know for a fact, just from stories you've told, you've had people come back and feel like they've known you after 4 years because they've
Yes.
been receiving your video.
Yeah, I don't know.
So like, here's the thing is, like, I'm not, we every once in a while kind of like, just fuck with you about like kind of the roboticness of it. But it works. And it's
Yeah.
not, here's the thing is robotics, not
But
even
here's
the
the
right
thing.
thing.
No, it's
It's
the
dialed
It's
in.
the
That's what it is.
consistency. It's the
consistent.
consistency.
Yeah.
It's the same thing with this. We're at episode 119, right? I posted a thing today.
Allegedly.
3 years ago today, we took this on ourselves. 3 years ago today,
Yeah.
we took this on ourselves, right? And the only thing that this show has had on it, other than a bunch of cool guests and maybe some funny moments, is consistency has been the only reason this thing still
Yeah.
exists.
Absolutely.
This is the one, guys, I will move appointments that potentially make me thousands of dollars to hit happy hour, but I will not move this 3 o'clock on Wednesday.
Yeah, not at all.
You know what
dude.
I mean? Like it's just that is the level of commitment you have to this. And then go out and start exploring, find other people who are doing it at a high level, join groups where they're discussing specifically what you're trying to do, ask questions, engage, and it'll move your process along that faster. You don't need to take 3 years to build this. There are people who've done it way faster, right? People
Take your
built
same ideology and just transfer it to a different medium.
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
I'm gonna throw a monkey wrench into your argument right now, real fast. It only takes 1 or 2 people to make sight unseen offers to tear down the entire system. Because what if they're making better offers?
That is true.
Because if you're saying no one's going to make sight unseen, well, it only takes 1 or 2. If you had 100 offers, but the 1 or 2 that were sight unseen,
That'd be
actually
fine
were
if
better and they closed.
Well, that's
And
yeah.
they closed.
And they closed. Yes. So and they
Why
closed.
wouldn't they?
Well,
Because here's the thing, they're going to have inspections. They're also
But what if I had an Oculus? So you're saying the only bridge to gap is the medium by which I get to know more about a
well,
property.
I
I
understand.
just don't think that's gonna make.
I understand that, but there's also
They would have said that about cars in the 50s.
Okay, so I agree with you. In 70 years, shit might be different.
But but in the 50s they're saying
but our
that.
trajectory. Oh
But
man!
I would venture to say that
Get into a
most
deeper talk.
people, and when it comes to buying a car, you also have a 3-day right of rescission that you can return it and get everything back.
What do you think the option period's for, Nick?
Oh, is that that's the right of rescission? Like, what? But so
Why
are you
would I
telling me
need to
that I
see
can then
my-
also go and sleep in it overnight, like that
No,
old
no, no.
Remember that HGTV show?
Yeah.
We're like, oh, we can stay here one night just to test it out, and then
But
back
what
then
if
you
I
used to have
had-
buyers.
Like somehow sleeping in a fucking house is the measure of whether or not it's going to cost you.
Yeah.
It's like, man, this bed that they put in here really slept well.
right? Like I can't.
I
live-
need this out. There's no part of sleeping in a house that lets me know whether or not the air conditioner's
But-
going out in 2
but-
months. So stupid.
But Brian, on that, they will make sight unseen offers, but they want to come visit it in person. They want to check out the neighborhood. They want to.
But we're talking about where the puck is headed.
Well,
I don't know who these robot people are.
Yeah,
They're
I'm
from
not.
Homo Deus people.
Yeah, I'm not. I'm 60-40 against it.
How many?
60-40
How
I'm
many,
not 50-50 on
how
this.
many times do you think? Okay, because I think there's a level of human comfort that I think is transient and will change. If I had an inspector who did inspect the house for me, an appraiser who did appraise the house for me, like how many people do you legitimately think in the future, in our sort of transient society as it exists now, like what do you think is the gap between where we are right now and people actually being comfortable living in homes
Is
they
the,
haven't
ex-
stuff
is
put
the
in?
inspector actually
95%
physically inspecting the house?
Just
Or is he
technology.
vir-
We're
is he
so
virtually
fucking far
inspecting
from
it?
this.
Why?
We're so because how if we can say that this is a business of people know, liking, and trusting you to make their largest purchase ever, right? To then say somehow we are going to get people who do this maybe 6 to 7 times in their life that have a book of business of people who are lenders.
I don't
inspectors,
mean from the agent
realtors.
side. I just mean from the
No,
customer.
no, I'm talking about the consumer. The
I mean
consumer
about
still has to trust
deciding to
everybody.
actually go through with the house.
The consumer still has to trust all of these people that you're talking about, that all of their opinions are correct from beginning to end, and they just don't do it enough to trust enough people to do all of that to get them to the end of the road. I just don't think that's what happens. I really don't.
I would. Okay, so to challenge you on that, do they know
I don't wanna
enough
be
not
challenged.
to trust them? Why
No.
is Rocket Mortgage the biggest mortgage company on earth?
And if you want to have the
Is it 'cause
conversation
people
about
really
how,
inherently trust their mortgage company.
and for another show,
Well,
if we
they're
want
also
to have
spending.
if
They're
we
spending a shit ton of
if
money.
we want to have the
marketing.
conversation around shitty lenders and shitty real estate agents ultimately depreciating our value, that's a whole other show. And I agree with you 100% on that.
Well, but you just said because they spend a shitload of money, so you're telling me that the only object or obstacle to overcome is just it's just some company investing a shitload of money and making people more comfortable with going through with sight unseen offers.
Possibly.
If it's just money, I think that's where the future is, dude.
You
And I'm not
you
saying
take
the
it
three-
on. You
I'm not
take
saying
it on.
no. I'm not going to take it off. I am speculating about the 15-year future, not the
Yes.
3-year future.
And I agree with you. There's a million things that I
The
think
time when this comes to fruition is not when we're still sitting here doing this podcast.
No,
I
right?
will also say that if we had another 50 minutes to go on this, and the game really is, starting a company that goes public so that you can also run at a negative cash flow and
Yeah.
a negative P&L balance, and so that you're using investor style Wall Street money in order to go and test your theories out, and hopefully your theories are correct so that there's a return on investor money, and now your stock value goes up, you sell and become a billionaire because of that stock valuation. And there
That's where the
Okay, well, I'm
ride
doing
sharing
that.
industry has gone. That's probably where the real estate industry will go eventually within the next decade. That's where the finance industry has gone. That's why stockbrokers, the ones on the trading floor, are no longer in business. It's because
So if you offer me enough stock that I will become a billionaire in something, let's go start that company.
that's actually how companies like big ones usually do start, right?
Yeah.
The reason that the Chicago Mercantile is not filled with actual inhuman traders anymore is because enough people invested in companies that were taking negative cash flow in the beginning based on theories that eventually came through. And yeah, if there was 50 of them that had the same idea, 49 of them probably failed, and the one whatever it was, right?
wrote a
Hopefully
book and everybody
succeeded.
thinks that's
and
what
here's
happens
the thing,
now.
it's like putting yourself in that hero in a movie. And you're like, oh, like if the end of the world comes, I'm going to be like that hero.
Yeah,
I'm not
a
the one
bunch of
getting killed.
motherfuckers are going to
you
die
the
along the way.
49 people who died
Yes.
that let that guy live.
Yeah.
Chances are,
Right? And so, I mean,
I'm not saying
I
we
wanna
should
be
do it.
no, I think we should.
Yeah.
Let's go do it.
I'm in on this.
Breaking news.
Deal.
Merger.
I want to be a
All right.
billionaire, and you guys made it sound easy, so I'm in.
Let me
Yep.
finish my drink and then we'll do it.
All right.
All right.
Hey, if you're not part of our Facebook group, go to the only real estate group worth being a part of. Go take a look at our other episodes. We've got 118 more that you can go listen all this week and this weekend. Go to iTunes, leave us a 5-star review, as well as go visit our sponsors and take care of them, please. Right? Justin Nelson over at Sphere Rocket VA, sphererocketva.com. He will help you with learning how to hire virtual assistants to create more leverage in your life, as well as Michael DeBacker, our loan officer here in Texas. Like I told you at the beginning of the show, he just saved 2 deals. By the way, those were from Rocket Mortgage, which is Quicken Loans, for us. So, and there's people in the comments that talked about how he's helped him out. So go to mortgagemikeoftexas.com, connect with him. You will fall in love with him. You will start sending all your business to him. So,
I'm done with this show today. I love you guys.
Love you.
by the way, I told you it was going to be a good show.
It was good.
It's better than the first one.
It's better than the first one. Jesse, get us out, baby. Thanks for watching the show today. Make sure if you're watching this on Facebook, you head over to our group, the only real estate group worth being a part of, so you can watch the extended conversation. If you're watching this on YouTube, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. And if you listen on the Apple Podcast, leave us a review. We'd really like it. So just do it. Do it. Do that over there. Go to this one. Then go to that one. Thanks.